Where are we? You're live. You're live. Good afternoon from Queensland. Hey, William. Good afternoon, bro. Kia ora. Sorry, I just 7 o'clock now, so I'll look to jump into it. But welcome those that are here, those that might be joining a little bit later. Just finished some training, just step ups with the pack. I filmed that one. Little chubby cheeks didn't join in today because his mum had already showered him, so he missed out. But he's in the video. He makes a cameo. He's sitting down on the pad outside while I'm starting, and that was just 50 minutes before this. I thought I'd have a few more minutes, but obviously not. It's 7 o'clock now. Where are we? I'll get to the questions. Jelly Tip, hello, and James Gregg, kia ora, brother. Where are we? First up, the reckoning. People were asking about the reckoning, if it's happening in January. You know what? Pretty stink, hey? I saw on Netflix that 50 Cent has done a Puff Daddy documentary, and it's called The Reckoning. I was like, oh, stink one. So, yeah, I don't know about that name now. But anywho, there's no reckoning running on January the 24th. The cutoff was the 1st of December, and we didn't have the minimum 6. There was 2, then it dropped to 1 because one had to withdraw, but he gave heaps of notice, like I think more than a month's notice that he could no longer participate. Thankfully, I didn't take any funds from those 2 because I didn't want to have to then send it back. So I only take the funds if I hit the minimum numbers, which is a 6, and from that point, like, there's no refund. So there won't be one running in January. I'm not going to look to try to put one on and try to rush around with what's rest of this month and into January, when people in that are probably still on leave, and trying to get the blink and the reckoning going. So the next one will be scheduled, is planned for April. And just on that, people have been kind, but probably pressing a little bit more, asking me regularly why I don't advertise it and push it more. Because it was never the primary purpose of why I started the channel. Pretty much. I don't know if I've explained that or if I've explained it well enough. That was a byproduct, a side gig, for want of a better term, from requests that had come through asking me if I could. There was a time way back when I was up in Auckland, and again, there was requests for that. I was looking to run it, but people didn't want to do it for whatever reasons, and that's all good. And then this time I was just in response to the question, could I run something like that? And the answer is yes, but it's not at the front of my mind, if that makes sense, in terms of trying to leverage it maybe as well as I can. Right or wrong, that's where my head's at. It's not a primary intent of why I started the channel. It's there bubbling away in the background, and I did a YouTube post maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago or whatever, and I put a link to a free website version, which I just put up a one-pager, and then it's got links which will take you to a Google Doc form essentially, and then some FAQs in there, and medical waiver registration stuff if people want to do that. So that's about as much as I've done, and yeah, that's where it sits. Maybe later on down the track, who knows? And yeah, we'll sort of see where that lands. There have been some queries from some sports teams in and around me running a version or a type for some sports teams as part of their preseason development, prep, etc. Yeah, we'll see. I haven't run a reckoning type style one. Maybe something similar when I did some stuff when I was fortunate to run a program with the Fremantle Dockers over in Perth, a professional AFL footy team, a few years ago now, and had some of the boys from the regiment help out and assist, and they were awesome. Horse was one of those guys from Bravery and Betrayal. Horse was one of the lads that helped out on that. He was kind enough to make some time, and there's a few other fellas too that made time. I won't mention their names because I'm not sure if they're still serving at the moment. So yeah, we'll see. Again, those are just queries, nothing in concrete. I think it's just, a few teams and maybe their managers or coaches that have just been a little bit curious at this stage. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, like I just enjoy doing the reactions and stuff. So doing that, and maybe with a view down the track. I know I've mentioned this before, maybe with a view down the track to one day do a few interviews again, but I'd rather do those interviews in person rather than some of the ones that I was doing before, which were remotely. So that's that for the reckoning. Hopefully that gives enough of an explanation. It's not the primary reason why I started the channel. There isn't one running in January. If the next one does run, it'll be in April next year. The cost is a cost. I'm not changing it. Those that want to do it, it's $1,850. If you want to do it, cool. If you don't, I don't care. so that's what that is. I'm not changing that price. Not after what happened after the first one. And and maybe some preseason stuff with some sports teams, depending on what they choose or decide to do, depending on how conversations and stuff go, and really depending on what it is that they want specifically. Most teams, at least higher level professional teams, probably don't have a lot of time because they've got other specific things to do. I only found that out doing some stuff with the Dockers. So we had a small window to try to instill some team building and leadership development stuff within their squad that they had, and their coaches and support coaches or assistant coaches helped out, participated in that as well, which made it even better. So that's that. Where are we? Okay. So this one of the guys on the channel, kind supporter, thank you for this. Hi Joe, I know you probably made a video, but just wondering what the minimum physical standards are. I want something to train for next year. So minimum, this is for the reckoning still, so not quite off that topic yet. Excuse me. I see a few questions buzzing on the side there. I'll try and come to those soon. Let me just put that there and go there. All right. So the basic minimum physical stuff for the reckoning, bearing in mind, remembering this is a scaled version of an SA selection process, at least 30 hours of one. And so the minimum requirements are 2 kilometer run in under 10 minutes. So instead of a 2.4, it's just 2 clicks. Minimum 25 push-ups, minimum 5 pull-ups, minimum 50 sit-ups. And the sit-ups, I haven't done a video showing these movements, but a lot of this stuff is just shown on the day. So the standard for the push-up, standard for the pull-up, standard for the sit-ups. But essentially, if you can picture lying flat on your back, both your hands are touching your collarbones, your shoulders touch flat, you sit all the way up and your elbows come to the top of your knees or between your knees. You go back down, touch, and just repeat that till you've done 50. These are the minimum numbers. You can do more. 6 kilometer pack march at 23 kgs is the pack weight. You got less than an hour to complete that. If you come in a second or a couple of seconds over the 60 minutes, well, then that's a fail. 7 kilometer combat run, we'll call it. So with 5 kgs in less than an hour. So you get this, you get 60 minutes again. Sorry, to complete that 7 kilometer combat run. And then there's a swim element. So the activities that I've just rattled off. So the swim test is a 2-minute tread water, 200 meter swim, and that's just in your speedos, budgies, snugglers, togs, whatever you want to call them. And then a 10-meter hold your breath underwater swim, push off, swim 10 meters underwater, then pop up, and then 2-minute tread water again. So that's you can just replay it and then listen to that again if you need to. But those minimum elements for the reckoning, they're not necessarily done in the order that I've just read them out. That's just what the minimum standards are. So hopefully that helps for anybody else, even if you're not doing the reckoning. I don't know if that's something that you want to, there's probably better things to train and prepare for rather than just doing those things. But if you're wanting to participate in the reckoning and you're wanting to know what those requirements are, you can find that on that the Reckoning Experience website, and then you scroll down to the bottom to the FAQs, and I think it's contact or whatever, the button that I've put in there. If you click on that and then scroll through, you'll see the equipment list and a whole bunch of other stuff in there. So hopefully that helps. Thanks for the question. Where are we? Oh, I don't need that open now. This next one might take, these next two might take a little bit of time. Let me just see what's put in here. Sorry. He did well going up the mountain. Yeah, a little chunks did. Hey, mate, hope you had a good day. Definitely did. Thank you at Merck Tondrius. Sorry, bro, if I'm saying the names wrong. Bloody rubbish. No, you're good to go, brother. Ask Mrs. Horto about copyright and NZ. I am sure that once you've created IP and published it, recorded it, it's safe in NZ. And since you've been doing this since March, oh yeah, cool. Okay, I think I was just more, yeah, the the name and what it's linked to with old that bloody P Dimwit, whatever his face is. It puts you in good stead. You have videos to numerous posts to help solidify your genius. Joe Fitty and even Cat Williams used the title The Reckoning. That's a great title. Have you heard any more about the Kokoda Track Adventure? Oh, Kokoda Track Adventure. Yep. So I've got to just send in a couple of things left. I've done my travel insurance, sent through the passport details that Pillars for Pilgrims needed. I think I've just got to do a bio, a personal bio, and I forget what else. One other thing that I need to do. It's somewhere in the email, but I'll try to get that in before the end of next week. They've asked for that as soon as they can, but there's still time. And then I think the only other thing I've got left to do is just apply for the visa. They don't do visas on arrival now or something for some reason. So, but should have plenty of time to do that. So yeah, that's about that, and looking forward to that. Can't give away too much on there. I think I might have. Well, I probably didn't give away too much last time, other than there's 50-50 split, 10 ex-operators, 10 civies going on it. I'm fortunate to be one of the sponsored participants from the unit going on it. So Pillars for Pilgrims, through fundraising efforts and support of what they do, has meant that everything's covered for me to go. So yeah, super grateful for that. I think the only thing I needed to pay for was just the travel insurance, which was like less than a couple of $100. I think it's $130 or something like that, 150, something like that. So yeah, really blessed, fortunate. But yeah, I'll be filming that and I'll put up some stuff in that once that's done. That's good, Joe. Just found this by chance. Hey, all good. Solly, good to hear from you, bro. I left you a comment the other day about training for the NZ. After I've done a few years in the Army currently. Yep, that's one of the questions that I was saying will probably take me a while to answer. So I have got that on the list. I'll get to that soon. Currently work forestry, so yep, got that. Yep, so I'll read through that. Thank you for jumping in on here. Is Thomas or Merck is good, mate. All right, gotcha. Jelly Tip, just found out earlier this week I've been selected for RRF 419 next year in March. Your videos are helpful. Oh, that's cool. Jelly Tip, that's awesome, man. Yeah, excited for you. Yeah, stoked. But was just curious if there is things I could work on to improve my chances of passing, and if I do fail to pass, can I keep going back for selection? Cool, I'll come to that. Merck, I'll come to that. Just caught the end of that, Joe. What's happening? Hey, mate, all's well. So I just gave an update on the reckoning. I'll jump into Thomas's or Merck's comment now. So first, thank you for the comment, bro. It's really nice of you to send through. So you've got here, this is from Merck, seeing as he's on the chat, and he's put that anyway. I'm currently 32 and looking at trying out for the NZSAs. I've worked in the forestry industry for almost 10 years now, working in all types of weather, walking through thick swamps and forests. I've done LSV when I was young, and after this pruning season, I'll be signing up for the New Zealand Army with the end goal of trying out for the SAS. I wanted to ask what kind of training would I need to improve on to have a better chance? Cool, so I'll jump into that. You've got here, you're pretty fit at the moment, which is awesome. I was working out and training to become a personal trainer. That's great, but I really want to push my limits and be, best version of yourself, and trying out for the SAS after I've done a few years in the Army is what I think is best to push those limits. So would you have any tips and training recommendation for me? So I'll do my best to do your query justice, Merck. So 32, good age, plenty of time. You've got some, maturity and wisdom under your belts in terms of the age or the season of life that you're in right now, which is still young, still plenty fit, fast and strong. And so that's not an issue. Applying for and going into the Army, depending on what route you're doing, if you're going full-time, which it sounds like you are, and then spending a bit of time in the Army, which is what you're mentioning that you're doing before you look to put in your application, that's all good as well. Getting some experience. I don't know which corps you're looking to go into. I don't think you mentioned it here. That's cool. Not that you've asked. In case you do, I'm always biased towards people I think infantry is, in my opinion, because that's what I did, is the better option to go with. The SAS is the future goal, just from a basic soldiering's perspective, an eye-opening perspective. If you're doing forestry, you're used to being probably wet and cold and doing long days and hours. The infantry is just a sort of similar version of that without doing all the forestry type work. But yeah, you're wet, cold, hungry, or you're hot, sweating, dehydrated. Lots of walking, carrying plenty of kits and all that sort of thing. So with your forestry work, you probably got good exposure to that by the sounds of things. Likewise with farmers and that, anybody that's, doing a lot of real hands-on manual laboring type rural farming work, forestry work, there's plenty of those guys in the unit, and a number of them join infantry. A number of them use that as a stepping stone to go into the regiment if that's where they want to go. So those things aside, that's cool. You've asked about what kind of training would I need to improve on. So the basics with regards to, and I've always mentioned, running, body weight stuff. So your push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups. Swimming, you need to be able to swim, and you need to be able to walk, shuffle, run sometimes, and then carry on walking, again with a heavy load. So pack work, pack marching, pack stomping, yomping, tabbing, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same thing. Putting a load on your back and moving for sometimes long periods of time. Sometimes 20 kilometers, sometimes 50 kilometers, sometimes something in between, sometimes longer. Your pack weights weighing anywhere from, depending on where you're going. So for selection, your pack weight's going to be at least 35 kilos minimum. So you want to be working up to that. If you haven't been doing a lot of pack work, or if that's new to you, depending on what stage or how far away you are from joining the army, there's nothing stopping you from doing some of that now. It can start with just a weighted vest. Those training vests, I've got one at home. Some of those training vests that people get, various styles. If you've got a pack that you can load up with, can carry a decent amount of weight, and not just weights, put some water in there, change your clothes, whatever, some medical kit stuff, like some practical things that you could use in case you did get injured if you're going out in the bush and walking and whatever. Maybe a bit of food as an emergency, should the worst case happen, some good comms, charge batteries, something to start a fire, etc., all that sort of stuff. And then in addition to that, adding weight to it. So if you can have those sorts of things handy, if you've got them already, and you can get out to a place and do some pack marching, those things will help. But running, body weight, swimming, and pack marching, pretty much the four things. And then if you can consistently work through those, that's going to help from a mental perspective, depending on the type of training that you're doing. So for yourself, Merck, as I've done videos and put up the free training program. If you want to, you can reach out to me on email. My email can be found on my channel, just in the About. I think it's the About section. Go down, click on the email, flick me through an email, and I can send you through the free program that I've done. It goes for about 12 months, 3 phases, a build-up phase, then the meat of the work, and then a taper. And you use that. It's a generic one, so you tweak that to suit and adjust your schedule, your family, your work requirements, any injuries or niggles that you have, etc. So hopefully that helps make sense. But if you'd like that, I have made it available, and I've gone through it on YouTube. I've sent it to a whole bunch of people. Some of them have been kind enough, sent me back some feedback that have used it. Some of them in the ADF, some in the NZDF. They've noticed some really cool results for them, which is good, but they have tweaked it as well. So the disclaimer on that is it is a generic program intended for people to be able to get away from their Oi! Bloody can't let my mother-in-law see me do that, shooing her cats away. Yeah, but it is a generic program for people, like I said, so that they can tweak it to suit and adjust. Just seeing if I got everything on there. So those would be what kind of training would I need to improve to have a better chance. So those sorts of things, like that's the stuff that it's just real basic graft in terms of training for selection and that sort of thing. Those things like the 2.4, you bloody, this one, man, better get out of there. Bloody hoo-ha, sorry. Trying to get into the house, we got the door open. What was I saying? To do with the training, yeah, real basic, simple stuff. Selection, remember, is just the first stepping stone. So to get on there, I think there are a couple of other things that you mentioned. You're wanting to give yourself a better chance, I'd stick with those things. No need to be a fancy Olympic lifting, strength and conditioning coach. If you are that, and if that's you've got qualifications in that, all of that will help. Hopefully, with regards to how you program your own training, how you might tweak if you want a copy of the generic program that I've done, and how you manage your recovery and when you time your taper and all that sort of stuff going into selection so that you can set yourself up for the best chance. The other piece would be finding out exactly, which I think you can do, well, you definitely can when you're in the army, but finding out exactly what those timings and requirements are for the elements of selection. So the 2.4, as far as I know, needs to be done in under 10 minutes. I think the push-ups is minimum 30 or 33, but obviously you want to do a bit more. I think the pull-ups might be minimum 8, strict military style pull-ups. No kipping, no swing, full extension of the arms on the way down, head and chin above the bar, then lower down. It's not to a cadence, you just do them at your own time, but making sure that you hit those key points with arms fully extended and then head and chin above the bar and then lowering back down. Sit-ups, I don't know what the sit-ups are, maybe 80 or something, but they're not hard. They're not the ones that I just described for the reckoning. They're like curl-ups, I think they call them, and they are, they're easy as. So swim test, I'm not sure what the swim test is for NZ here. I'm pretty sure there is a tread water element that might be 3 minutes, and I think the swim may only be 200 meters. I don't believe it's timed. I don't think it's timed. I think you just have to, it's in your uniform and everything, except minus the boots. So you're not wearing boots. So long sleeve shirt, long trousers. I don't think you're wearing socks either. And then you're swimming. I believe you just have to complete that. And the tread water, I'm not sure if there's anything else to it, so don't quote me on this. But when you're in the military, you should be able to find out well in advance what those minimum landmarks are that you need to hit. There'll be some sort of pack test, whether it's an 8-clicker or longer, and there'll be a timing associated with that, whether that's 70 minutes, whether that's 60 minutes, I'm not too sure what that is. And then there'll be the either famous or the dreaded hares and hounds, depending on how long that run circuit is. So that's like a combat run, long in your uniform with your webbing, boots on, carrying your weapon, and running for anywhere from maybe 8 to 9 kilometers, depending on the route or the trail that they do it on. It can be fairly steady, uphillish, not necessarily really steep and sharp, but steady and long and grinding, depending on where it's run. So it'll be a very different place from where it was run when I did mine here in NZ, but no doubt it'll still be very similar, and the objective and the goals will still be the same in terms of what they're trying to do, which is essentially weed out those that don't meet the standard and that can't keep up. So yeah, knowing what those are, that's just one small piece, of selection. Like those elements, that's day one, pretty much, of testing. And then you've got the other stuff like get as much work in when you join the army with your navigation. Put in time and effort and energy into that. Work with people, ask people that know what they're doing. Get onto courses where you can in and around navigation. Once you're in the military, just lap up any course that you can get on, really. But navigation will help you. And then I think Jamie Pinnell talks about it. You can't teach or you can't train ticker. So the other parts of it, the graft of the work and selection and the elements of trying to break you down, wear you down, that's just, that's the sucky part, or the part where you find out about, a bit more about yourself and about others that you're on the course with. And it's awesome. It may be not so awesome when you're going through it. I'm not going to lie, but it's definitely awesome when you can see that light's at the end of the tunnel, and when you get the opportunity to stand in that light's at the end. So let me just check the rest of this question. Hello. Kids are back from doing some cleaning. Don't you bloody my captain me. Get out of here. It's one of my sons. It's back over here from Australia. Gets cheeky and calls me captain. Little monkey. He's not so little anymore.
Captain.
You get out too. That's my darling. they'd come back. She'd been out with the kids. It's quite nice having a full house, having the kids here. Kids are on leave. The one's in the army. One's over from Australia. And and the girls, well, they've been on school holidays for a while. Actually, the other one's, she's finished school, so there's only one more left in school. Woohoo! Where are we? Sorry, got sidetracked. Pretty fit. So those hopefully were the other things that I spoke about: the navigation, get into the soldiering. You're wanting to do it after you've done a few years. One thing that I would share with that, and it's not for everybody, like you'll know yourself better than I do or anybody else, obviously. But I know that, well, I don't know. I've heard that the UK process is different, like that you can't, like in NZ, you can get through basic training, core training, and then you can apply and you can go on to selection. You can even apply from Civvy Street, but there's some other, I don't know all the details of that, but there's a bit of a process that you still got to go through before you can get to the start line of selection. Some assessments, some aptitude testing, some things that they'll go through when they're doing their due diligence and checks and balances on the individual before you get a nod to go on the start line for selection. But that was one of those things, call it my naivety and immaturity, or probably all of those things, or both of those things and more. But you don't have to, in NZ anyway, you don't have to have done you don't have to have done a set amount of time, as far as I'm aware. From once you get into the army, you complete basic, you complete core training. If you want to submit and do selection, depending on when you finish your core training and how far away, and if you get all your paperwork and nomination in before the cutoff dates, before the selection course, you might be less than a year, or maybe just over a year in the army in general before you apply for selection. So I know that stuff happens in NZ. I don't know if that's the same for Australia. They may have changed things now. From what I've heard, I don't know that that's the case for myself because I've never done it, but from what I've heard in the UK, you can't do anything like that. You have to have served the minimum amount of time, and however long that time is, whether it's 3 years, 5 years, or longer, I'm not sure. But that's definitely a good way to go about it. Like, you've got in here after you've served, or after a few years in the army, and you've got here that's what you think is best to do. That's awesome. So if that's what you feel, do that. I just mentioned that other piece just as just for anybody else, either for yourself or for anybody else that might be listening. I know for me, that was the only thing I joined the army for. And as soon as I found out that I could get on selection ASAP, then I was like, yep, I'm going. The other part I think you mentioned, I'll come back to the questions. Could you do it again and again if you fail? Sorry, there's a whole bunch of things that are coming now. Curious, prove my chance, and if I do fail, can I keep going back for selection? So here's I've spoken about this in other videos. Depending on, well, put it this way: if you fail and you want to go back, put in your application again. They will let you know. If you can't, they'll either decline it, or they'll give you maybe a reason why. Lots of comments and stuff that come out, and questions still, even to this day, even though I've spoken about it a fair bit on my channel anyway, people talking about, oh, I thought you couldn't go back if you remove yourself, if you quit from selection. That's not the case. And you may be told that. Like, I know before selection in NZ and in Australia, that was made real clear to us. If you quit on selection, you can't come back. I suppose the part for me is that I never thought about quitting in the first place for whatever reason. I've spoken about that before as well. But I know people that have quit in both NZ and Australia. They pulled the pin. They got to a certain point. It wasn't for them. It happens. And I know I've spoken about this before. The units are mature enough and smart enough to know that not everybody's ready sometimes at the time when they apply and when they go on to selection. Sometimes they need that failing, for want of a better term, if you want to call it that, or that experience, we'll call it. It's probably more accurate. Some people need that experience to then identify maybe where they lacked in their preparation, or what they could do better or more of the next time they go in. So I've spoken about this before. Pohatu, one of the guys, he was Recce Platoon on his first one. I believe he got removed because he didn't quit. He got removed because his legs weren't strong enough. And that's what he said to me. He goes, oh, my legs just weren't strong enough. Mentally, I felt good, but I just couldn't meet the timings with regards to with regards to the navigation. No, that's the little chunkster. He's telling me to go in there, but he said he couldn't meet the timings, so he come back, smash the legs. And when he gave me that tip before the selection that I was going on, which he would then come back on with me, I started hammering the step ups and moving with weights and getting used to that and getting accustomed to it. And lo and behold, it helped me massively, in my opinion, anyway. And possibly without that tip from Poe, I might not have spent as much time on that. I might have still been too busy trying to have a big chest and biceps. So so that helped massively. Hey, where are you going? Oi, oi, where are you going? Where's your pants? Where's his pants? Adam, man, go back. Oi, come here. Go inside and go put your pants on, man. Hurry up. Run, you little chubby cheeks. Go. Bloody hell, man. Quickly. Sorry. Running around outside here to go at the back. He likes to come out the back to Uncle Happy's house, he reckons. Go put your pants on now. Go on, go see your mum. So some people, like the units, are smart enough to know that, not everybody's ready at sometimes at that time. And so that experience might just be what they need. Sometimes some people got to go through that experience 2 or 3 times before they get through on the second or third or fourth time, So I would say just apply. I would say go in and hopefully, don't quit or remove yourself would be the first part. If you get removed, nothing you can do about that except take on board the feedback, acknowledge where you may have gone wrong or we may not have been up to scratch, go away and get better, work on that and other stuff while maintaining the other things, and then go back and smash it. So that's what I would say on that. Don't listen to anybody, or I should say, here I am saying don't listen to anybody else while I'm blabbering away on here. Let me put it this way. It's up to you if you choose to listen to people that say you can't go back if you quit or if you fail. I know I wasn't wired that way to listen to that. I was just going to reapply. But that's how I was wired before I went on selection for both NZ and Australia. I knew that there was a chance that I could fail. I knew that there was a chance that I might not, that I could complete it, but I might not get picked up for cycle. And regardless of those, whatever I was going to be told, so if I was going to be told no, then I was going to take that on board, go away, get better, and I was going to reapply and go again. Now, if I had have quit, that was still where my head was at. But I think for me, fortunately, like I didn't have that in my head. I didn't go into selection thinking, oh, if I quit selection, then I'm going to go away and come back. It was, if I go on selection and I fail, or I'm unable to complete it for whatever reason. So if I fail and I get removed, or I'm injured and I'm unable to complete it, then I was going to go away, get better, and come back. I didn't have in my head, I'm going to go on selection, quit, and then look to reapply. Hopefully that makes sense what I'm trying to put down. That's better. Bloody chunky. Here, come here first. Come here. Come here. Come. Here. There you are. Say hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. I just watched a movie about that, but once as a creature rider, but the rest of the way, but once.
Okay, that's your time now. Love you. See you later. Go see your uncles. Yeah, he can go off on one and start telling me a story about his dreams and all sorts of stuff. I have no idea what he's talking about sometimes, but yeah, he's good. It's like having my own. It's like having a grandson, but I don't have any yet because my kids have been slack. Yeah, no, that's all right. Where was I? So that's that for selection. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully I answered your questions, Merck. And apologies for getting too sidetracked with some of the stuff I was going through. Where are we? Holy God, I can feel my knees going again. Kia ora, Charlie 29. Yep, kia ora whānau. Dan, yep. Awesome, good to see you. It's really great to see you working with the young fella. Hey, thanks for that, Dan. Yeah, it's lovely, man. I enjoy it. He was supposed to do a step ups with me today, but his mum had already showered him, so she was happy to chuck some clothes on him, and I could have showered him up after. I said, no, it's all right. Just let him have a rest after the so many stairs yesterday. Too many stairs. It's good, eh? No. What's this? I do throw about 15 kgs kettlebell in my backpack. Cool. But going back to the infantry, I was thinking of engineering and pushing for EOD before SAS. My question, I guess, is does SAS deal in EOD stuff? Yeah, there's elements to that. They'll usually have. I don't know of any guys going away and doing specialist EOD training. Like they'll leverage and utilize the EOD team or the personnel that have done that training, that have got that expertise, and attach and or use them if and where and when they might need them. That's my understanding of that. That things may have changed and they may be adding that to their skill set in terms of training for operators. But I think unless you're doing it day in, day out, I think it's probably smarter. I think the units would stick with grabbing EOD specialist personnel as and when they needed to. Or would the infantry be the best for aiming for SAS? Yeah, I'm biased. I'm always going to say the infantry. Sorry, I'm just catching up on these questions now. Yeah, where's Chunky Chops? Yeah, that was him. I think EOD is a part of E Squadron now. Okay, cool. So outside my, yeah, I'm not sure. I have got friends there, but I don't tend to not ask them about what the structure and stuff is of the regiment these days. So I'll be looking at swimming, running is what I should work on. Body weight is my main way of training. Cool, but knowing how many I got to do, I can push myself to do more. Yeah, I think most people going on to selection, push-ups wise, are comfortably doing anywhere from 50 to 60, like comfortably strict military style push-ups, chest to the floor, arms locking out at the top. I think pull-ups wise, I know for myself and other guys are sort of sticking around or hanging out around 20 plus pull-ups at that time. Yeah, so if you're doing that and you only need to do 8, like most guys will typically do a few more, 4 or 5 reps more than what the required number is. Push-ups, typically guys will do a bit more, maybe 10 more than what the required number is. Some guys might push and do a few more. Sit-ups is pretty easy. The curl-ups and stuff that they have. So those things, yeah, Keakwe, over to you in terms of how many reps you want to do in addition or on top of whatever the requirements are. Thanks, mate. Either or, I'll still push. Yep. Talk photo. Kia ora, Joe. Hope all is well. How long do fellas stay in the SAS for? For as long as they can, usually, unless they have a bloody brain fart like I did and think that they're too big for their boots and don't want to do any Green Army courses. But yeah, a lot of guys will stay in for as long as they can, or until until maybe the wheels start falling off, or they maybe losing a step. Maybe it's getting noticed by the other guys. Harry Moffat, ex-Australian Regiment guy, speaks really candidly about that in a few of his interviews. Some of the guys, I think he felt it in himself, but some of the guys, they're not shy on letting you know. But they still let him know, from what I could tell, quite respectfully. Said, "Oh, you're looking a bit tired, Moff. You're looking a bit slow." And he would have known, well, he knew what that meant. So yeah, the guys that I know that are still in there now from my era too, that are still hammering away. A number of them are still beasts and still hammering and still holding their own well and truly. But yeah, some guys, everybody's different. A few aches and pains and niggles and injuries start to creep up, and things might not necessarily be quite the same as what they were. And yeah, guys end up needing to reevaluate their ability to be on the front line and doing that stuff, but taking nothing away from the experience and knowledge that they've gained, which they can then move into training cell, preparing the next lot, lessons learned, and capturing data and information from various, 20 odd years of linking the GWAT, and capturing those learnings and then implementing and then looking at recommendations for what could be done better, kit and equipment that they may be needing, tactics, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, there's still a place for them, but I'm not sure how the unit or how the military is set up to retain a number of them. Plus, at the same time as well, there are some pretty good opportunities that come up for operators in the unit, and when those opportunities come up, a lot of times it gives an opportunity for that person to financially look to set up their families a lot better than probably what they would have if they stayed in the unit, or or if they just transferred out or did something else within the military. So yeah, there's all that sort of stuff to sort of factor in as well. There are some really good opportunities that guys take advantage of, and they do really well. And so, yeah, that can go a long way to just sort of securing a bit more of a stable future, for want of a better term, for their families, for their children, all that sort of stuff, and other loved ones and friends that they may feel a need to support. So hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, people typically try to stay in there for as long as they can. It's easier for ORs, non-commissioned officers. Officers have a bit of a shelf life, like they'll get rotated out and they get posted to other areas. If they've been particularly, my take anyway, right or wrong, if they've been particularly good, they'll come back as the commanding officer of the regiment. So I was fortunate. Like, I knew my OC was an awesome man. He's on the bravery and betrayal as well, Burnsy. He went back, so he was my squadron OC. I don't know where or if he got posted out after, but he ended up being back at the regiment as the CO, as the commanding officer for the regiment, and that wasn't surprising. Everybody, we looked at him, listened to him, followed him. The way he spoke, the way he led, and it was no surprise when I heard and saw on the Search for Warriors documentary that he was the commanding officer of the regiment at the time. Awesome guy. So, yeah, but NCOs or non-commissioned officers, other ranks, yeah, you can stay there pretty much till the wheels fall off, unless you get posted somewhere else in another sneaky part of the unit, which I never got to. Oh God, I've been told I'm not good enough most of my life. Imagine listening to them. Chunkster, nice haircut. yeah, he got a haircut today. Sounds like a natural YouTuber. yeah, true. Eh? He's probably more coherent when he's talking than what I am. Damn, that would be hard to take in passing selection after all that preparation, to be told you won't be taking part in further training. Yeah, and that's you just look at the 1998 one that I posted up with John Bolton, Sergeant Bolton. That was I had no idea that was his third time, and there we were on selection together. And he went through that, passed with the rest of us. We were all gutted for him when he came out of the room. His body language, and he just shook his head, like, oh, we knew that he'd been told no, and I hadn't gone up yet. His Hawtai comes after Bolton, so I knew. I was like, yeah, when I saw that, I was like, man, they didn't take a sergeant. I was like, I've got no chance. I'm bloody fresh off core training. I'm only 20 years old, but I was okay. So I think that helped prep me before I walked into the CO's office, where there's a little bit of a panel, and then I got the news. I was already expecting to hear, maybe a well done for getting this far and completing selection. Unfortunately, you'll not be selected for further training. So that's what I braced myself for, and it turned out I didn't get that. So I was accepted, and it was just a bonus. But yeah, it's heartbreaking for those guys that have, and he wasn't the only one that day. It's heartbreaking for guys when they get that far and then they're told no. And some guys, for them, that's enough. It's enough that they just know that they completed selection and that they could complete it. But I've spoken about this. You can either complete it, and that's cool, but passing selection is when you've been given the nod and the yep, you're coming back for further training. So yeah, that's why I talk about I completed cycle, but I didn't pass it because I didn't get badged. So that's it just is what it is. He's crack up, all right? Yeah. Sorry, Joe, missed the opening 10 minutes. All good. Did you give a reckoning report? I did both. So you'll be able to see that after. Rambled on probably too long about that, but yep. Much appreciated, mate, for the info and heads up. The things I could work on, I'll push myself for sure and do my best. Awesome. No worries. I'm glad it helped, bro. Jelly tip, is there any hand-to-hand combat martial arts type of training in the infantry? Probably more so these days, or the SAS for sure. There always has been. The close quarter CQB stuff, hand-to-hand knife fighting, unarmed combat stuff. All of that stuff is part of it. Right, Nice? Yeah. And in the infantry, there wasn't really, at least not during my time, but that's likely changed now, just as I've seen the basic trainings, and I did a reaction to that, like all the urban stuff that they're doing these days. That stuff wasn't around when I went through basic training or infantry core training. So yeah, no doubt there's a bit of that. And I have seen on some of the videos, they do some weapon disarming and all that sort of stuff, which again we didn't do during my time. So there's some basic stuff in there. I don't know how in depth they go into it in infantry, But in the regiment, they've probably done further iterations of that again and again. So yeah, there's definitely that stuff. If so, to what extent? I know there's probably more to soldiering than hand-to-hand combat. Yeah, it's fairly like it's several weeks long, so it can be up to 6 weeks to 2 months, so 6 weeks to 8 weeks long, and yeah, it's pretty extensive. They'll get some specialists in that do that stuff, and some of those people may either have a military background or they may be civvy specialists in knife fighting and other edged and non-edged or blunt weapons and that sort of thing. And so they look to utilize that knowledge and skill set where they can and incorporate it. Sometimes they'll do train the trainer stuff as well. Good night. Kiss. Say bye, everybody.
Bye.
Okay, good night. You're welcome, niece. See you tomorrow. Training tomorrow. Good work. Have a good rest. We go to the mountain? Nope. See you then. Love yous too. Yeah, but getting those specialists and stuff, and guys that live and breathe it and do it all day in, day out. Like, it makes sense to grab those guys. Even some of the ground fighting stuff that was coming well and truly into play in the regiment. Not so much. Oh no, yeah, not as heavily as it was when I was in. It definitely came in pretty heavy when I was out by then, and it's probably a large part which is weaved into it now, and then a whole bunch of other things. But yeah, it's a core part, I suppose, of soldiering and for the unit. I do think it's something that they should incorporate into infantry in general, but whether or not they do or have done, I'm not too sure. Hey, kia ora, Joe. Hope you're well, bro. Heading up for Warriors on Anzac. Hope your Kokoda Mish goes good. Thank you, bro. Appreciate that. All right. Where are we? The other questions. So I did that one. Did those two. Oh, yeah. Geez. This one, heavy. Big question. But anyway, I'm going to do my best because this person has reached out. I'm not going to mention the name in here. This one's come through via email. Appreciate the trust that this person has put in me with sending this something. So yeah, pretty well, I said heavy, but yeah, detailed, heavy. It's like, oh geez, family counseling according to Joe Horto. Not really. So this one here says some nice things and then jumps into it, which I'll get into. What advice would you give to someone like me who is late 20s? I have 2 children, currently under 5 years, a serving member in the Defence Force, not married officially, but we live as a married couple, so I'm guessing de facto, and someone who has always wanted to serve in the SAS. So that first part, like, if that's what you wanted to do, go for it. Speak with your wife, all that sort of thing, and get your ducks lined up, understand the situation and what's potentially on the horizon should you make it, the sacrifice, the commitment, the preparation that goes into preparing for something like that, which no doubt you understand, being a member in the Defence Force, and have that conversation. The next part's got here. I never thought I'd be in a long-term relationship. Same here. Let alone have children. Same here. I don't know how my partner would handle me joining the SAS, so I haven't raised the topic with her. Okay. So, yeah, raise it with her. Bring it up. Like, she's your partner. You got two children together. You got a family together. So, yeah, let her know. But it's easier said than done, I guess. From my perspective, when I met my now wife, like, I needed to let her know before we got serious in the relationship. Wasn't something you bring up on the first night of going out together. Must have been maybe a couple of months after, maybe 6 weeks, maybe a month and a half. And our relationship, where it was going, what we're talking about, and I didn't think it would carry on, and neither did she when I let her know what my plans were. So, but you've got to have the conversation with her. That's my take anyway. Especially if it's something that you've always wanted to do, and I'm guessing, she loves you. You've got children together, got a family together. She's probably going to be supportive of you, I would guess. So you haven't raised the topic with her, or I haven't raised the topic with her, but I don't want to let time go by and look back one day and have regrets for not trying. Yep, definitely don't want that. I also don't want my dream of serving in the SAS to cause any unnecessary stress for my partner. Yeah, that's gonna. I don't know about unnecessary stress. It's just any job is stressful, right? Depending on what you're doing. Some jobs may carry a bit more stress than others in terms of people's perspective or their perspective of what their job entails. Just being a soldier carries unnecessary stress. It carries stress. I don't think it's unnecessary. I think it's just a natural part of what it is that you've signed up for and what it is that your partner in this case is agreeing with you. So she's with you. You've got children. You've got family together. She's backing you. She understands that you might be deployed or something might come up. You could be injured or killed in training as a soldier in the Defence Force. So unnecessary stress. Yeah. Good luck. Good luck for not finding a way to avoid stress. Would appreciate any tips and or advice you might have. So again, thank you for the question. Don't know that I'm, yeah, don't know that I'm qualified to answer that question, but I can give my take, and my take is speak with her, let her know what it is that you want to do. I agree. I like what you put in here. I don't want to be looking back. Or I don't want to let time go by, look back one day and have regrets. You definitely wouldn't want that. Also wouldn't want to be looking back and then, I don't think you would, but maybe one day looking back and go, oh, you're the reason, start blaming, you're the reason I didn't go in selection. I could have done this, could have done that. I don't think that's fair on anybody. And at the end of the day, it would still be your fault, in my opinion, for not voicing that and bringing it up with her in the first place and having the conversation. So have the conversation. If that's where you want to be, let her know. You've got a family together. I would assume she would support you. She may not fully understand what that is or what that means. So maybe sitting down and watching, whether you're in New Zealand or in Australia, watching The Search for Warriors or watching the First Among Equals documentary on the selection with your partner, if they don't know what that's about, to help them get a better idea, of what that life or what that job might entail. So late 20s, couple of children under 5, still young, plenty of time. Families and married life does work for soldiers serving in the SAS, believe it or not. There are these conversations in and around, it's a high divorce rate, etc. I don't know what the stats are on the divorce rates and relationship breakups or anything like that. So I 100% don't know. But I do know a number of people that have got really strong marriages that have stood the test of time with regards to that phase or that time of their life within the regiment and still post their time. So, obviously it's evidence that it can be done, has been done, and it will continue to be done by families, by couples that end up having a partner serving and working and living that life. So hopefully that helps, man. What's going on here? Hopefully that helps. I don't know if it does, but that's my take anyway. Have the conversation, go through stuff with her, and then you'll probably be surprised, or maybe not surprised. You'll probably find that she's in your corner, backing you, and then you can start focusing on your prep and your training, and get after it. Anyway, that's that. Where are we? I notice a lot of fellas in combat corps carry themselves a lot different in terms of how they act, etc. Like they are really laid back versus fellas like loggies that are real regimental. Yep. You able to chime in on this? Which was that to me? Was that to your at Talk 5018? You able to chime in? Are you talking about the notice a lot of fellas in combat corps carry themselves a lot different in terms of how they act? Like they're really laid back versus fellas like loggers that are. Yeah, I can chime in on that. I don't know if it's it may be like the camp soldier mentality, depending on what corps unit you're in, is it is quite regimented and structured, and we would use the term anal in and around protocol and dress and bearing and all that sort of stuff. And you would have, don't get me wrong, you still had soldiers, sergeants, NCOs in combat corps roles that were very, when you're in camp, that's what they expected, clean shaven, threads all burnt on your uniform, everything lined up, uniform neatly pressed, etc., etc. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I suppose it is a little bit more of a different mindset, and I guess it just depends on the environment that you're in. The combat corps roles, like they're so used to being told to hurry up, and then it's hurry up and wait, get into a place, getting everything spick and span, neat and tidy, ready to work because you've given us a timing. Now we're there, ready to go, and now we're going to wait around. So there can be a little bit of, I suppose, a combination of some of that, as well as the inherent reality of a combat role is that when the crap hits the fan, or when you're involved in stuff, and or when you're preparing to even just doing live fire training drills in a training scenario based, like that's intense. You need to be focused. You need to be dialed in. My experience anyway, because you don't want to. You got your mates in that running around, and you want to make sure that you don't injure or hurt anybody. If you're going to be using explosives and demolitions, again, you have to be dialed in. But I don't think it's healthy, and I think guys naturally sort of realize it's not healthy to try to be locked in, switched on, laser focused all the time. Like you need a bit of a release. And so when you're maybe doing things in camp that aren't necessarily to do with live fire or live explosives or that sort of stuff, guys might be accused of combat roles, might be accused of being too relaxed or being not professional. Unprofessional might even be the term that gets used. I know we've been called that a fair few times, just because of some of the, I suppose, the sense of humor in regards to things, our attitude towards rank and structure, and protocol or process of how certain things are supposed to be done. That could be viewed as being unprofessional and disrespectful and that sort of stuff. And I get it, but each to their own. Like I just think about the guys that I said that even from infantry right through to the regiment, like you're just not so wired and intense all the time, because that's not how life is. There's moments where you do need to be super locked in and laser focused, for want of a better term, and hardwired into what it is that you're doing and what's happening. And then there's times to relax and times to, just observe and be a lot more chill, or be a lot more chillax than Lincoln being wound up tight all the time. So that's my take on it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but loggies. I'm just trying to think of the loggies being uptight. No, I don't. I think it was probably just more us in a combat role, looking down, thinking we were better than the crap hats or the pogues was the term that we would use in NZ. People that weren't in a combat role, and that sort of stems back to even from basic when I had infantry NCOs saying, like, right from then, there's only two types of people in the army: infantrymen and those who want to be. And so all of that sort of banter, competitiveness, for me, my memories goes back to when I was on basic training and listening to all that sort of stuff from certain NCOs, obviously from the infantry NCOs. And I get it. You're in the army, the teaching is you're a soldier first, whether you're a cook, whether you're an admin, whether you're a driver, whatever. Everybody's a soldier first in the Defence Force, and you go through that same pipeline and that process, which is cool, which makes sense. But once you get into your corps, then that's your corps and that's what you're doing. And infantry can have a way of trying to look down on others, even though, we barely got school C for the vast majority of us. And I think some of that is just us being jealous of the brainy ones in the army. Maybe not so much jealous, but somehow trying to get one up on them by calling those that weren't combat roles or infantry, calling them soft. But really, we're just jealous because they had more brains than us. Anyway, where are we? All right, Paul, what's this jelly tip? Do people get a lot of time to do recreational activities outside of the army, like sports? Yeah, 100%. I think so. I played a lot of sport while I was in my time in the infantry. Like, it's a knock off by 4:30, 5 o'clock, thereabouts, and time's your own. You get weekends off. At the time, there were lots of social sports happening. There were civvies that would come into camp. It's probably a bit different these days with the security protocols and all that sort of stuff. So that might not be you may not have as many civilians coming on to play in social competitions on a military camp these days, like there was back in my day. Like we had social basketball teams, volleyball teams. Civvies would come in and use the golf course in Linton Camp. That probably still happens, but they probably, I don't know, they probably have a special pass or whatever to get on there. But these days it's a lot different, and I only know that from taking my sons backwards and forwards every now and then. Not so much these days because they've got their own waka and that to get around onto camp, and I could only get in there with an escort from them, or if my name has been left at the main guard hut by somebody with rank in that camp, and that's only happened once. That was for the battalion birthday earlier this year, which also coincided with a good friend's farewell who's left the New Zealand Defence Force as a WO1 and gone over to the Australian Defence Force and as a captain. So I think he's looking after or got a position in their sniper, reconnaissance and sniper area or part there in Australia. So he's a good lad there, in good hands having him over there. So that's that's as much as I know there. But people can take up jiu-jitsu, they can take up and play other sports, rugby, whatever else in the background or on the outside, in addition to their services as a soldier. Just understanding that, you know, if you've got training or something on a weekday and you've got work in the military, well, you've got to do your army job first. And if you don't make that training session or whatever it is for your social sports team or other extracurricular recreational activity, too bad, so sad. Your job as a soldier in the military trumps whatever your other activity is outside of that. So that's that. Here, bro. My soap dials and switches, as DJ Shipley says. Yep, nice. I heard you say something about a mountain, bit off topic, but that wouldn't be Mount Ruapehu. Just based in Ohakune. Oh, so I was a bit curious. Totally understand if didn't want to talk on that. No, I don't think I was. I think I might have just been talking about the little chunks when going up the mountain. It's not a mountain. It's just Colonial Knob here in Wellington and Puriroa. One of the little tracks that I go and I took the young fellow on. Maybe that's what I was talking about. I don't think I mentioned anything about Mount Ruapehu, but maybe. Yeah, I get what you mean, bro. But as soon as shit hits the fan, I see the business side of them. It's like a certain mana that's mean as to see. Yeah, that's it. Like probably maybe hard to visualize here, but one of the things that comes to mind when I read your question was the holding area. So holding area, when you've been called to an incident that's happened, you go in there with the holding area, in there with your bags, you've got your weapons, then you're laying all your kit out, your body armor, your magazines, your weapons, your gas mask, all your stuff's neatly laid out. You've got your kit on. You're then getting orders, you're prepping charges, you're getting preliminary warning orders, etc. You're prepping stuff, getting things ready in the specific areas, loading bays, demolition bays, all your breaching stuff, etc. And yeah, it's go. Everything's set, and then there's time. Even though you know you could be called up at a moment's notice, people are relaxed. People are having a joke. People are having something to eat. Some people smoke. They go outside and have a cigarette. And then when it's time to work, like you get the call, everything just switches. And yeah, I guess that some people might look at that in the holding area and might think, oh man, you should be just ready to go the whole time. No, you'll burn yourself out, I think, anyway. And it's good to try and stay as relaxed as you can. But when it's time to go and everybody knows and everybody's got the areas of where they're breaching or where they're going into, what you need to do, who you're looking for, etc. Then that's the time to switch on and get after it. Then you can decompress and unwind and be a little bit more relaxed. Where are we? I think that's the questions for today. Yeah. I'm gonna leave the other two because this is over an hour already. Been babbling on along with getting sidetracked by the cats and little chunkster running past with no pants on, long top on, and sending him back inside. So I think hopefully I've covered enough. The reckoning, the question in and around selection from Merck, and then the advice to family family man who's serving in the Defence Force with his family, so, and his goals and aspirations to want to join the unit. So hopefully that all helps. Hopefully the volume is coming through on the microphone okay. And that's that. So appreciate everybody's time, mate. I can see there's 12 on there. I don't know how many there were on here, but appreciate everybody's time, support as always. Hopefully you have an awesome weekend, getting closer to Christmas. Hopefully your Christmas stuff is all sorted out for those that you need to. And yeah, just as always, regardless of those challenges, hard times, difficulties anybody's going through out there. I know some people are kind enough to message me. Some people are going through some hard stuff at the moment. And so just as repetitive as it may sound, I do mean it, because I do understand and know what that's like to be on the other end of, as we all do, of some difficult, hard times, challenges, etc. So the importance and the need to just keep turning up and to keep staying in the fight and to put one foot in front of the other and plod along and just take one day at a time as best you can. Some days are worse than others. Some days are absolutely miserable. I get it. But turning up and staying in that fight is equally important, if not more important, than the miserable time that you've just had the day before. Maybe you have it days in a row, but I can promise you, if you want things to get better, and that's what you've got in your mind, and you're wanting things to turn around, to turn a corner, to get better, to become lighter, to be happier, if you've got that hope and that thought, like they do, it will happen. It really does just take some time and some persistence, some consistency, some discipline, some patience. A lot of patience. I've found through experience and some of my stuff in that anyway, and no doubt for you as well. Sometimes reaching out for help to people that are either qualified or friends or people that have shared experiences can be a really helpful and beneficial thing for people. So if you've got people that you can do that and reach out to and seek that help and get help, then do that. Do whatever it is that you need to do. Train if you need to train, if that helps release some endorphins and it makes things a bit lighter and easier for you to focus. Find those things that give you some time and space to breathe and take some of the stress and pressure off. So yeah, that's what I would mention. The sun will shine again. There is a light at the end of that tunnel. I know there is. So as always, go always a little further. Remember, who dares wins and who cares wins. And until the next video, there's a big mana wave coming from me and Chunky Cheeks to you, filled with our aroha, respect, appreciation, and gratitude for you all. Oh, thanks a lot again. Hey, you're welcome. Taking the time. You're welcome, bro. Thank you for taking the time, sticking around. Take care, Have a beautiful weekend. Yeah. End.